Digital signage is a huge part of Sign and Digital UK. I'm here with Richard from IMG to talk a little bit about the traditional and the future when we start moving towards interactive digital signage and displays as well. Richard, thank you very much. Just give us the top-down story about IMG and the different brands that you've brought here to the show this year.
Sure. IMG Interactive Media Group gives it the general sense of where we are on a digital level, but we've brought two of the organisations here this week. Predominantly looking at two forms of digital signage, one being your more traditional static version, represented by half of the stand here in terms of the fact of simple, plain advertising and promotion through to educational pieces, followed by what would be described as the next level, next generation, like the idea to touch. So from that point of view, interactive digital signage and the capability to interact and direct your own journey through an interactive digital signage application.
And you were talking a moment ago about how, in a way, that as humans, as children in particular, are consuming media, are interacting with it differently with the advent of touch technologies, tablet computing and so on, that naturally the signage industry needs to move where their users and consumers are at as well.
Well, absolutely, because there's the natural tendency to want to touch. So there actually is developing an expectation. So you'll see a digital display, and generally we've seen much of the research that they will want to go and touch. And now what they have increasingly got the capability to do is touch, but then learn for themselves. So the signage itself becomes more of an educational piece.
And so that's the ArcStream side of your business, which is the interactive, you are providing those interactive capabilities?
Yes, in terms of the fact of ArcStream, next level technological advancement, interactive, that's the piece. And the name's in the title with regards to paper to pixel. You're just taking that traditional paper format and digitising it. And they both live together because from that point of view, you're turning static digital signage pieces with the P2P model, but you're giving people the access to then take it to the next level, which is where ArcStream comes into play.
You've actually got some examples over here on one of your displays, and we'll have a look at one of your interactive displays as well, but just on the screen behind you, that's handily just disappeared as soon as we walk over here. Isn't that the way with live TV? A number of your clients and the kind of, I would say installations, but maybe that's not the right term, but the kind of ways that you'll be able to create interactive displays. That one there looks like it's is that a projection display?
An interactive floor, yes, that was an interactive floor. Interaction has gone away from just being a standard table format or device. It's now in the scenario that we make any surface interactive. Walls, ceilings, the one obviously you can see right now relates to what we've got down here in front of us in terms of BT taking on a next level presentation suite, because from the point of view, static was no longer working in a traditional presentation use. They've now turned it into an interactive application.
And that table that we saw on display there, you've got it here, so...
I've got it here as an example, yes. So in the normal sense of finger touch and presentation, you then become layered and menu based. So you start something, you're then given the option to then go and investigate and move around the actual application itself. So there's content inbuilt into here, both in terms of images, PDFs, videos, which then obviously BT have the capability to then go and update and improve across the course of time. So you're in essence building them an interactive template for them to then grow and develop out into obviously different areas of the actual business that they're actually in. There's one stage further to this application which relates back to that particular image, is in the fact that then you can share the content on this screen with other screens. Sure. So you're making a fully utilisable interactive experience because you're both using a touch screen and standard screens. So it's an all-encompassing solution.
And I know from experience, when you're giving presentations to small groups, actually, if you're able to make it interactive and just lay it down flat rather than having it PowerPoint on a projector or on a screen behind you, there's a sense of immersion that that your audience get with the content that makes it much more visceral. You get a lot more engagement with the content when it's laid down in a different way like this.
100%, because on the presentation with the PowerPoint, you're being dictated to the content. It's whether you stay in line and stay in tune with it. So you'll drift in and you'll drift out. In this particular form, what you investigate and what you look at, you take on board straight away because you chose to select it and you chose to take it on board. The final bit that would add further credence to what you said is we have the capability to track every single interaction. So whoever developed the app can actually then get data back that says, well, for those 3 sections, they were the most popular. Those 2, not many people visited, so therefore you can then adjust the content another level to give them the capability to investigate further and get the full maximum benefit of it.
And I think that's a really important point, because it's all very well and clever demonstrating technology like this, then handing it over to a client. But if they can't innovate, if they can't iterate, if they can't create their own applications on that technology, then it becomes static and loses that kind of iteration, always improving point that these platforms are, supposed to be able to provide to them.
Yes, and to lead on from that particular point, we've kind of defined it that there's a choice to be made when it comes to developing this. You either do it for entertainment purposes or educational. And the entertainment's been around for quite a number of years. Interactive floors, for example, that's highly entertaining with regards to the content that's been produced. But we're now in the fact that interactivity is now properly being given the opportunity to educate people on, certainly in terms of the fact of obviously staff, because this is an internal activation. But one stage further than that is obviously clients on products and brands. So you can take the logo, you take it down to this level and you break it down, and we've had it, the feedback is tremendous. It's having great impact on brands such as these guys and others.
Richard, it's great to have you here at Sign & Digital UK. Tell me, what have you been making of the show here this year?
Very impressed, very impressed by the questions and the understanding of what in essence would be a more traditional print base. We found this show as an opportunity to kind of educate and kind of showcase what the next level is and where the technology is going, and the feedback has been excellent. I was a bit taken back by the level of knowledge of quite a few people that have come to the stand.
That's very kind of you to say so. Richard, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Cheers.